Because we are true fighters.
Yeah, two fighters.
True fighters.
True, yeah. No, not YouTuber fighter.
Huh?
Not YouTuber fighters. Yeah.
They need to talk and talk shit about the fight because they wanna say it. Talk it. But people know we are great fighters. We wanna put a great fight. Yeah.
Happened. Canelo Crawford, 13th of September in Las Vegas. Thank you for everyone. Thank you, Canelo. Thank you, Crawford. Thank you, Netflix. Bella. Thank you, Bella. Thank you, all your team in Netflix. Thank you, Nick Khan, TKO. Thank you, Dana.
Canelo Alvarez is getting ready for the biggest boxing event of his long and very successful career, which takes place in 3 months. In his first fight this week, on September 13th, Alvarez will go up against pound-for-pound boxing champion Terence Crawford. Canelo Alvarez didn't hold back when he spoke out against the rise of YouTube boxes. He said that the trend was wrong and emphasized how important this conflict is. "This isn't a circus, this is boxing at its finest," Canelo said. "We don't need to talk to Crawford or him." A Saudi Arabian expert named Turki Alalshiksto in the middle of two boxes and said he was sure this fight would break all records and become the best in boxing history.
People know we are great fighters. We wanna put a great fight. Yeah. We don't need to talk
I am sure in the end in the mid of September we will have one of the greatest fights ever happen in boxing. And I am sure.
It's important to note that Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford have officially signed their contracts for the highly anticipated fight on September 13th. The boxing world watched as the two pound-for-pound stars sealed the deal for what looks like it will be a historic match. The first true super fight between two pound-for-pound professional boxing champions is breaking new ground streaming live on Netflix, the world's largest platform. Not long ago, Alvarez turned down a deal to fight former YouTuber Jake Paul and signed with Turki Alalshiksto to fight Crawford. Instead, Paul fights former world champion Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. this month. Next up on June 27th, in California, talking about the predictions on his huge fight, Matchroom CEO Frank Smith recently addressed that this is a monumental moment for boxing with the best players like TKO Dana White and Netflix involved. The scale of the event is unprecedented, he sees. It is not just one of the biggest fights of the year but potentially the biggest in the sport today. On the flip side, Smith emphasized that Canelo remains a global megastar, while Crawford has elevated himself massively, especially after his dominant win over Errol Spence. Together they bring elite skill, star power and momentum, making the fight a can't-miss global spectacle.
Huge fight, and you know, obviously with TKO, Dana White involved as well, and Netflix, as you say, it's a massive fight. Probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest fight in the sport. And yeah, it's going to be huge. Vegas, September, massive. Canelo's a superstar of the sport, we all know that. And I think Crawford, in recent times, has shown, you know, he's built himself into a great position, you know, with the Errol Spence fights, etc. And yeah, it's going to be a massive occasion. It's going to be a massive occasion for the sport, and it's great for the sport.
It is widely thought that Canelo will win this fight, but famous teacher Bullet thinks Terence Crawford will surprise everyone. He even referred to Bud as a magician in the ring, more skilled than Teofimo or Roy Jones Jr. at their peak. "If you box better than Canelo in 12 rounds, he says, he is slowed down and can't move like he used to."
Before, and I think you mentioned Bud was going to beat Canelo?
Yeah, like I said, Bud is a magician, like Teofimo and like the Roddy, but just more seasoned than the both of those other two. Bud can do it if anybody can do it. At this age, Canelo's movement and mobility is not the same. He's not engaging like he did before, but I want to advise Bud to stand toe-to-toe with him. I would drag him into a boxing match and see his condition and his movement in the later rounds and try to win on points.
There is a warning. Bullet says Bud should drag him into a technical battle, test his gas tank, and aim for points rather than a war. Nonetheless, at 168, he understands the risk. Canelo's bone structure and natural stature pose serious risks, and Bullet doubts Crawford's strength alone can compete.
If you catch him, yeah, finish him. But I won't take that gamble unless I know it's what's up. But on the pound for pound, rules of the pound for pound at 168, we cannot take a Canelo at 168 lightly against Bud Crawford. You see what I'm saying? Canelo is the kingpin of 68. He may have lost at 75 trying to jump out the gym for greatness. You know what I'm saying? The Skull performance was, Skull is a mover, like the Arizona Lara.
Coach Bullet acknowledges Terence Crawford's abilities and gives him a fair chance against Canelo, describing it as a true 50-50th fight, but he's candid. Canelo was born at 168 pounds. That is his natural division, and his size, build, and durability give him a slight edge. Similarly, Bullet is mainly concerned with bone structure. Canelo has never been dropped, even after fights with punchers like Val. Crawford is strong, Bullet admits, but there are worries about Bud's ability to damage a man as built as Canelo.
A pound is a real thing. That bone structure is the only thing that's making me go 1% more to Canelo than Bud. You know what I'm saying? So, Bud is strong. They told me, before he fought Earl Spence, Bud's strong. Me, Bomac, and the other trainer was going, saying what we had to say to each other. And, he made a good name for himself fighting Earl Spence. But the world knows that's a C-level Earl Spence that he fought.
Meanwhile, as speculation grows about who will win the crown, Canelo's former opponent Caleb Plant thinks Canelo Alvarez isn't the same boxer he once was. Citing Canelo's recent performance against William Skull, Plant noted that Canelo struggled with movement and did not appear as sharp as in previous fights. He expected this, especially since Canelo has acknowledged he hates fighting boxers who move a lot, which Skull, a Cuban-style boxer, brought to the table.
Think of Canelo over the weekend. Did that look like the same type of Canelo you fought a few years ago? And yeah, what'd you think of that?
No, I don't think it's the same Canelo. Not quite, but also I kind of figured it was going to be like that, honestly. I heard Canelo say in the interview, like, I don't really like fighting guys who move around that much like that. And William Skull being a Cuban fighter, like, I knew he was going to do that. And so was curious to see, how Canelo would handle that. And, he kept the ring off well, but that guy I felt like he didn't really want no part.
While Plant feels Canelo is aging, which opens the door for Terence Crawford, he also added that Skull and Crawford have very different styles and that the September bout will be considerably more interesting and competitive. Plant thinks he can win a rematch with Canelo with a few changes, and if Crawford defeats Canelo and grabs the belts at 168, Plant has stated that Crawford will be on his radar as well. He wants to meet the finest, and he is prepared to prove it.
Get the job done.
What about Crawford? Do you think his chances got better, at least the way how you were seeing things heading into the last fight with him and Skull?
I think it's a stylistic matchup, and William Skull don't fight nothing like Terence Crawford. So we're not going to see the same type of fight come September. I think we're going to see a great fight, real good fight.
You and Terence have always had like a good relationship, but if he makes Canelo come off the titles, is he on your radar then in the division?
Yeah, I mean, all the top super middleweights are on my radar. I want to face the best, and a lot of fighters say that, but I don't feel like a lot of them have shown and proved that. I feel like I've shown and proved that, so I want to face.
However, analysts are raising worries about Crawford's side. Without a question, he is an excellent boxer, but boxing pundit Stephen A. is not holding back when it comes to the Terence Crawford vs. Canelo Alvarez fight. In his view, the concept of Bud moving up 3 weight classes and 21 pounds to face Canelo, simply incorrect. Referring to Jermall Charlo's failed attempt, he says the size gap is too great for even a fighter as gifted as Crawford.
Tell you what I think should be gone. The notion that Terence Bud Crawford should move up 3 weight classes, 21 pounds, to fight Canelo Alvarez. He's entirely too small. Jermall Charlo already proved that. Y'all remember that scene from Rocky? Remember that scene from Rocky 2? When Carl Weathers was Apollo Creed and his trainer was like, can I be honest? I saw you beat this man within an inch of his life.
Furthermore, Stephen A. warns Crawford that he will pay the price for picking the incorrect opponent, who is almost far superior to him. Yet, he states that Crawford is fantastic, but Canelo at 168 is too large, too strong, and too dangerous, according to Stephen A., but should leave the fight before it is too late.
Kept coming. He wouldn't go away. He's wrong for us, baby. He's wrong. Let it go. Paulo couldn't do it and lost fight number 2. Trained him for fight Rocky 3 and then got killed in Rocky 4 by Drago because he couldn't let it go. Bud Crawford needs to let it go. Too small.
Similarly, Terence Crawford has officially started training camp ahead of his historic fight with Canelo Alvarez in the UFC camp. Crawford is laser-focused, honing in on every detail as he prepares for the biggest fight of his career, which will be streamed live on Netflix in September. The pound-for-pound star is leaving nothing to chance in his quest for greatness. As training camp progresses, Terence Crawford is improving his ability to counter Canelo Alvarez's quick punches. He is focused on timing, angles, and defensive movement to keep one step ahead. Bout, known for his ability to react in the middle of a fight, is working on precision footwork and reflex-based counters to counter Canelo's signature explosiveness. Crawford is clearly not simply training physically with each practice. He is also building a strategic plan to defeat one of boxing's most deadly punchers. Terence "Bud" Crawford is focused on swift movement and footwork in camp, while Canelo is known for his explosive hand speed and sharp counters. He's honing his ability to stay elusive, slip punches, and create angles, knowing that disrupting Canelo's rhythm would be critical to success. Crawford sees this as more than just another fight. It's a chance to become great. A victory on September 13th would not only make history, but it may solidify Bud's position as one of the greatest fighters of all time. Furthermore, Crawford is going all in as he prepares to face Canelo Alvarez, the defending super middleweight champion and one of boxing's most famous figures, determined to make history. Crawford is practicing with surgical precision, pushing his body to its limits and perfecting every part of his game. From rapid movement drills to strategic sparring, he's devising a plan to counter Canelo's power and precision.
That's how you're supposed to start. See how Crawford started? Look at the bounce in his leg. 10 years running as a champion, everything that he's accomplished, and he still act like this is his first day in the gym. He's excited to be here.
As the game is barely 3 months away, Crawford knows that solid boxing is the key to overcoming Canelo, which is why he is working tirelessly to improve his boxing plan. Crawford is perfecting the kind of high IQ technical technique that can beat even a champion like Canelo. Meanwhile, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. thinks Terence Crawford is just outmatched when facing Canelo Alvarez. In his opinion, Canelo has been fighting at super middleweight for far too long and has gotten dominant at that weight, which Bud cannot overcome with speed alone. Although Crawford's quickness is excellent, Chavez Jr. thinks he lacks the power at 168 to make Canelo respect him or slow him down.
Canelo es muy fuerte, bueno y grande para Crawford. O sea, el tiempo que él tiene peleando en ese peso. Yo, Canelo, 80-20, 70-30, Canelo. Yo no veo de dónde Crawford le puede ganar.
Rapidez de Crawford.
Sí, o sea, rapidez de Crawford, pero no tienen la potencia como para que Canelo lo respete. Parece, vamos a ver.
On the other side, he gave Canelo a large advantage, claiming it's 70-30ths or even 80-20ths in favor of the Mexican superstar. He recognized Canelo's expertise and boxing IQ, and he was stunned to see someone like Jake Paul publicly back Canelo for Chavez Jr. Crawford's skills are unquestionable, but against Canelo at that weight, he simply cannot see a road to victory.
Ha hecho su trabajo, es un gran boxeador. Pues tener el apoyo de Canelo es importante, es bueno, porque así una parte de México y de muchas partes pues me va a apoyar, sus fanáticos que él tiene ya también. Y pues yo no esperaba que apoyara a Jake Paul, Canelo.
As the countdown to September 13th starts, the boxing world waits in anticipation. Will Terence Bud Crawford will shock the world and overcome his way to achieve greatness, or Canelo Alvarez will tell everyone why he rules at 168? It's more than just a fight. It's a contest for history, reputation, and pound-for-pound dominance. Who has the most to lose in this fight? Canelo or Crawford? Is Crawford taking on too much by going up to 168 to meet Canelo? Can Canelo deal with Crawford's speed and fighting IQ? Please share your thoughts in the comments below.